My name is Harper, and I need to tell you about the night that changed everything. I was on my knees, soaking wet, with champagne dripping from my hair while 3 wealthy women laughed and poured more bottles on me. 200 people watched, phones out, recording my humiliation. I thought my life was over. Then he walked in, the most powerful man in the city, and everything changed. This is my story, the night I was destroyed and saved in the same breath. What happens next will shock you to your core. Trust me, you've never heard anything like this. 3 months ago, I was desperate. Not the kind of desperation you feel when you want something, the kind you feel when you need something or your entire future collapses. My medical school tuition was due in 1 week, $8,000. I had 2 jobs already, working at a diner during the day and cleaning offices at night. My mom, bless her heart, was pulling double shifts as a nurse just to keep our tiny apartment. We were drowning, but we were too proud to ask for help. My dad passed away when I was 15, and ever since then, my mom taught me one thing: you earn your way in this world. Nobody gives you anything. So when my manager at the diner called me about a special catering gig, I jumped at it. The Winterstone Charity Gala. 1 night, $500 plus tips. It felt like divine intervention. I said yes before she even finished explaining. The Winterstone Gala wasn't just any event. This was the event of the year. Hosted at the Sapphire Hall, this massive, gorgeous venue with crystal chandeliers that looked like frozen waterfalls and marble floors so polished you could see your reflection. The guest list? 200 of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the entire state. Celebrities, politicians, business tycoons. The minimum donation just to walk through the door was $10,000. 10,000. That was more than I made in 4 months. I spent the entire day before preparing. I pressed my white uniform 5 times because I wanted it to be absolutely perfect. White fabric shows everything, every wrinkle, every stain, so it had to be flawless. I borrowed my mom's small pearl earrings, the only nice jewelry we owned. I practiced my smile in the bathroom mirror, trying to look confident and professional. "You can do this, Harper," I told my reflection. "Just 1 night, be invisible, be perfect, get through this." I arrived 2 hours early, my stomach twisted in knots. When I walked into that ballroom, I forgot how to breathe for a second. It was like stepping into a movie. Everything sparkled. The chandeliers cast dancing lights across the walls. Ice sculptures shaped like swans sat on tables draped in silk. Waiters in crisp uniforms moved like synchronized dancers. And the guests? God, the guests. Women in designer gowns that cost more than my yearly tuition. Men in custom suits with watches that could pay off my student loans. Diamonds everywhere. Perfume that probably cost $100 per spray. The coordinator gathered all of us servers before the event started. Her voice was sharp and no nonsense. Rule number 1, be invisible. Rule number 2, don't speak unless spoken to. Rule number 3, no mistakes. These people can make or break careers with 1 phone call. Understand? We all nodded like obedient children. As guests started arriving, I busied myself arranging champagne glasses on silver trays. My hands were shaking slightly, but I told myself it was just nerves. Then I saw them. 3 women standing near the champagne fountain, and something about them made my blood run cold. They had this aura, this energy that screamed danger. The leader was impossible to miss. Claire Hastings. Tall, probably 5'10" in her heels, wearing a crimson gown that hugged her body like it was painted on. Her dark hair was swept up in an elaborate style, and diamonds dripped from her ears and throat. But it was her eyes that scared me, cold and calculating, like a predator scanning for prey. Her 2 friends flanked her like bodyguards. One was blonde, Natalie, in a silver dress that shimmered when she moved. The other was brunette, Veronica, in gold, with a face that looked like it had never smiled genuinely in its life. They were loud, commanding the space around them, their laughter cutting through conversations. Other guests seemed to gravitate toward them or avoid them, nothing in between. I made a mental note: stay far, far away from those 3. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. I moved through the crowd with my tray of champagne, offering drinks with my practiced smile. Champagne, sir? Would you like a glass, ma'am? Most people didn't even look at me. To them, I was part of the furniture, invisible, just like the coordinator wanted. Then I heard it, a sharp voice cutting through the ambient music and chatter. You! Waitress! Over here! I turned. My stomach dropped. It was Claire, snapping her manicured fingers at me like I was a dog. Her two friends stood beside her, all three staring at me with expressions I couldn't quite read. I forced my smile wider and walked over, trying to keep my tray steady. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? Claire looked at my tray like I was offering her poison. She wrinkled her nose. Is this champagne even cold? It looks warm. I glanced at the glasses. Condensation dripped down the sides. They were perfectly chilled. Yes, ma'am. I assure you it's— Are you arguing with her? Natalie interrupted, her blue eyes narrowing. My heart started racing. No, ma'am. I'm just explaining that— Just what? Veronica stepped closer. You think you know better than her? Other guests were starting to turn and watch. I could feel their eyes on me. Heat crept up my neck. No, I'm sorry. Would you like me to get different glasses? Claire reached for a champagne flute and I thought maybe this was over. But as her hand closed around the stem, Natalie suddenly lurched to the side, hard. She slammed into my shoulder with surprising force. The tray tilted violently. I tried to steady it, I really did, but one glass slipped from the edge and its contents splashed onto Claire's crimson gown. Just a few drops, barely anything. You could hardly see it on the dark fabric, but Claire screamed like I'd set her on fire. Oh my God! Look what you've done! She jumped backward, hands flying to her dress. Every head in the ballroom turned toward us. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even the band seemed to play quieter. Ma'am, I'm so sorry, she bumped into me and— Are you blaming my friend? Claire's voice rose even higher. People were moving closer now, forming a circle around us, maybe 50 people all watching. Natalie gasped dramatically. I barely touched you. This is your fault. I knew right then this was planned. The way Natalie had hit me, the way they were all reacting, this was a setup. But why? I'd never seen these women before in my life. What had I done to deserve this? I'm sorry, I said again, my voice shaking. Please let me help clean— Claire grabbed my arm. Her grip was tight, fingers digging into my skin. This gown cost $15,000. She shoved me backward. I stumbled, my shoes slipping on the polished marble. I almost fell, but Veronica caught me. Except she didn't catch me to help. She caught me to push me back toward Claire like I was a ball in a game. Apologize properly, Veronica hissed. On your knees! I am apologizing, I said, tears already forming. I'm so sorry. It was an accident. Not good enough, Claire said. Her eyes were gleaming now, like she was enjoying this. That's when I noticed the phones. All around us, people were pulling out their cell phones, recording, filming my humiliation for their social media. My nightmare was going to be immortalized online. I felt sick. Claire noticed the phones too, and something shifted in her expression. She was playing to an audience now. Everyone, look at this incompetent waitress. This is what happens when you hire cheap labor. Natalie grabbed my shoulder from behind. Her voice was low, meant just for me. You need to learn your place. Then she pushed down hard. My knees buckled. The marble floor rushed up to meet me with a crack of pain that shot through my legs. I was kneeling now in front of 200 people in my perfect white uniform, with phones recording every second. Please, I whispered. I didn't mean to— Shut up, Veronica snapped. Through my blurring vision, I saw Claire reach for something, a full bottle of champagne from a nearby table. My eyes went wide. Number. She wouldn't. This was crazy. This was assault. But she did. Claire's lips curved into a cruel smile. Since you love spilling champagne so much, let me help you understand how it feels. She twisted the bottle. The cork popped with a sound like a gunshot in the silent ballroom. And then she poured it directly onto my head. The shock of cold liquid hitting my scalp made me gasp. Champagne flooded over my hair, my face, running down my neck and soaking into my white uniform. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just knelt there, frozen, as the entire bottle emptied onto me. The three women were laughing, hysterical, cruel laughter that echoed off the high ceilings. My turn. Natalie grabbed another bottle, popped more champagne, this time down my back. The cold seeped through the fabric, through my skin, into my bones. I was shivering, crying, completely drenched. Veronica wasn't going to be left out. She picked up a third bottle. Let's make sure she's really clean. Pop more champagne. It was in my eyes now, stinging, in my mouth, making me choke. My carefully pressed white uniform was completely transparent, clinging to me, ruined beyond repair. I don't know how long I knelt there. Time felt strange. All I knew was cold and wet and the sound of laughter and the knowledge that 200 people were watching and not one, not a single one, was helping me. Claire crouched down to my level. Her face was inches from mine and her breath smelled like expensive wine. Look at you. Pathetic. Poor. Worthless. Each word was a slap. You'll never be anything but a servant. You'll die in poverty, just like you were born in it. Natalie leaned in from the other side. Your clothes are so cheap I can actually smell the poverty on you. Did you buy that uniform at a thrift store? Veronica laughed. I bet she lives in some disgusting apartment with roaches and broken pipes, probably shares a bedroom with her mother. They were describing my life, my actual life. The apartment with the leaky faucet, the bedroom I did share with my mom because we couldn't afford a 2-bedroom, the uniform I'd bought secondhand and altered myself. How did they know? Or was I just that obvious, that clearly poor? Each word carved deeper into me. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the marble floor to open up and swallow me whole. Through my tears, I saw Claire stand and walk to my serving station. Number, please. Not that. She picked up my tip jar, a simple glass container where I'd been collecting bills throughout the evening. $43. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I'd earned it. Claire held it up like a trophy. Is this what you work for? She shook it, making the bills and coins rattle. Is this your pathetic dream? $43? She turned the jar upside down. Money fluttered and clattered across the wet marble floor. Bills soaked up the spilled champagne. Coins rolled in different directions. My hard-earned tips scattered like garbage. $43, Claire announced to the crowd. That's what her dignity costs. That's what she's worth. She kicked at the coins, sending them skittering across the floor. Pick them up, servant. Crawl and pick up your pennies. Something broke inside me then. The tears came for real, deep, sobbing tears that shook my whole body. I couldn't stop them. I was crying in front of 200 people, on my knees, soaking wet, with my money scattered around me like I was some kind of beggar. Mascara ran down my face in black streams. My hair hung in wet ropes. My white uniform was completely see-through now, and I had nothing to cover myself with. I reached for a dollar bill with shaking hands, and that's when I saw them. The shoes, expensive leather shoes, perfectly polished, stepping into my line of sight. They stopped right in front of me. Then a hand appeared, a strong hand with long fingers and a silver watch that probably cost more than my car. The hand extended toward me, palm up, offering help. Let me help you up. The voice was deep, calm, and carried absolute authority. I looked up through my tears, and my breath caught. A man stood above me, and he was striking. Not handsome in a pretty way, but handsome in a way that made you forget how to form words. He looked to be in his mid-30s, with dark hair that had just a touch of silver at the temples. His suit was charcoal gray, perfectly tailored to his tall frame. But it was his eyes that held me. Blue, intense, and filled with a fury that wasn't directed at me. He reached down further, insistent. I put my trembling hand in his, and he pulled me to my feet with gentle strength. I was still shaking uncontrollably, still dripping champagne, still crying. Without a word, he removed his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders. It was warm from his body heat and smelled like expensive cologne, cedar, and something else I couldn't name. The jacket was huge on me, covering my ruined uniform. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly, his eyes scanning my face with genuine concern. I shook my head, not trusting my voice. Then he turned to face Claire, and his entire demeanor changed. The gentleness vanished, replaced by something cold and sharp as a blade. "Well, hello there," Claire purred, and I wanted to vomit. Her whole personality had shifted in an instant. She was smiling now, flirtatious, running a hand through her hair. She'd recognized what I had. This man was wealthy, seriously wealthy. His suit alone probably cost $10,000. His watch? Maybe $50,000. Claire extended her hand like a queen, offering her ring to be kissed. "I'm Claire Hastings." He didn't even glance at her extended hand. He kept his eyes locked on her face, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "What exactly?" he said, his voice deadly quiet. "Did this young woman do to deserve this treatment?" Claire's smile faltered. "She ruined my dress. She's clumsy and careless, and I asked what she did." He cut her off. "Not what you claim she did. I want facts." Claire's face flushed. She wasn't used to being challenged. "Who are you anyway? Her boyfriend?" She laughed, and Natalie and Veronica joined in. "That's impossible. Look at her. She probably can't even afford a boyfriend." The three of them laughed like this was the funniest joke in the world. The man didn't smile, didn't even blink. "I'm someone who knows cruelty when I see it," he said simply. "Cruelty?" Claire scoffed, recovering her confidence. "Do you know who I am? My family donates millions to charity every year. My father owns Hastings Enterprises. We're worth $50 million. I can buy and sell people like her 100 times over." She gestured at me dismissively, like I was an object, not a person standing right there. The man raised one eyebrow. "50 million. He paused. "Impressive." But his tone said it wasn't impressive at all. It said 50 million was pocket change, monopoly money. Somewhere in the crowd, someone gasped. Then another person. Whispers started rippling through the ballroom like wind through leaves. "Oh my God, it can't be. Is that really him?" Claire's confident smile started to crack. "That's who?" she asked, and for the first time, I heard uncertainty in her voice. The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. He extended it to Claire with 2 fingers, like he was handing her something dirty. "Nathaniel Bennett, CEO of Bennett Global Holdings." The room went completely silent, not just quiet, silent, like someone had hit a mute button on the entire universe. Claire's hand trembled as she took the card. I watched the blood drain from her face, leaving her pale under her makeup. Natalie took a step backward. Veronica's mouth fell open. Nathaniel Bennett. I knew that name. Everyone in the city knew that name. Nathaniel Bennett wasn't just a billionaire, he was the billionaire, worth $8 billion. He owned Bennett Global Holdings, which controlled over 50 companies. He owned half the commercial real estate in the city. He was on the cover of Forbes and Fortune. He was powerful in a way that made 50 million look like lunch money, and he was standing in front of me, wearing just a white dress shirt because he'd given me his jacket. "Hastings Enterprises," Nathaniel said thoughtfully, rolling the name around like he was tasting wine. "That's your father's company?" Claire nodded. She couldn't seem to form words. "Interesting." Nathaniel tilted his head slightly. "Your father leases your corporate headquarters from me, doesn't he? The building on 5th and Main?" Another nod. "And your manufacturing facility in the industrial district?" "That's my property, too." His voice remained calm, almost conversational. "Your distribution center on the east side? Also mine. In fact, Ms. Hastings, I believe your lease renewal is coming up next month. Is that correct?" Claire's legs looked like they were going to give out. "Mr. Bennett, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what?" he interrupted. "Sorry you did it? Or sorry you got caught? Sorry you did it to someone connected to me? Or sorry you did it at all?" She opened her mouth, closed it. No answer. I'm trying to make a decision, Nathaniel continued, still in that terrifyingly calm voice. I'm trying to decide if I want to renew your father's leases. Or perhaps triple the rent. Or maybe, and this is an interesting option, lease all those properties to your competitor instead. Apex Industries has been looking for space. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to take over your facilities. Claire started crying, but these weren't the same kind of tears she'd caused me. These were tears of fear, of realization, of watching her entire life crumble. Please, Mr. Bennett. My father, our company. We'll lose everything. Please, I'm begging you. Begging. He said the word like it was foreign. Interesting. Is that what you wanted Harper to do? Beg? He knew my name. How did he know my name? Natalie found her voice, shaky and small. Mr. Bennett, we didn't mean, it was just a joke, we were just having fun. He turned to her and she actually flinched. And you are? Natalie Ashford, sir. Ashford. Recognition flickered in his eyes. Your father is Judge Ashford, correct? Yes, sir. The same Judge Ashford who's currently being considered for appointment to the state Supreme Court? A position that requires approval from the Governor's Council? Natalie's face went white. Yes, sir. A council, Nathaniel said softly, that I happen to sit on. What an interesting coincidence. Natalie looked like she might faint. He turned to Veronica, who was trying to back away slowly. Don't leave. We're not finished. You're Veronica Lancaster, correct? Yes, sir, she whispered. Lancaster Medical. Your family's pharmaceutical company. He nodded slowly. Didn't you just submit a new drug for FDA approval? Something for heart disease, if I remember correctly? Yes, sir. That's a difficult process. Requires extensive testing, review, and, what's the phrase, positive public relations. He gestured casually to all the phones still recording this entire interaction. I wonder how viral footage of the CEO's daughter torturing a waitress might affect that approval process. The FDA does consider company character in their decisions? Veronica burst into tears. Nathaniel turned back to me. His entire expression softened, like he'd taken off a mask. Harper, are you okay? My mind was spinning. How do you know my name? He smiled slightly. It was the first time I'd seen him smile, and it transformed his face. We haven't been properly introduced, but I know exactly who you are. The entire ballroom was holding its breath. 200 people completely silent, watching this unfold. 3 months ago, Nathaniel said gently, you applied for the Bennett Medical Scholarship. Do you remember? My heart stopped. The Bennett Scholarship. I'd applied on a whim, never thinking I had a chance. It was one of the most prestigious scholarships in the country. Full tuition, living expenses, books, everything. Thousands of students applied every year. The acceptance rate was less than 1%. Your essay, he continued, about losing your father when you were 15, about watching your mother work herself to exhaustion, about wanting to become a doctor not for money or prestige, but to help families like yours, families who can't afford good health care. Harper, it was the most beautiful, honest thing I've ever read. Tears were streaming down my face again, but these were different tears. You were chosen as this year's recipient. He said it simply, like it wasn't the most life-changing sentence I'd ever heard. Full tuition for medical school, $2,000 monthly stipend for living expenses, book allowance, everything you need to focus on your studies. I couldn't breathe, couldn't process what I was hearing. What? We've been trying to reach you for a week, he said, an apologetic note entering his voice. But the phone number on your application kept going to voicemail. My phone. I'd dropped it last week and cracked the screen. Half the time it didn't ring. I'd been meaning to get it fixed but couldn't afford it. So when I learned you were working this event tonight, Nathaniel continued, I came here specifically to tell you in person. I wanted to see your face when you heard the news. He glanced around at the scene, me soaking wet, crying, wrapped in his jacket. Though I didn't expect to walk into this, my knees felt weak. He steadied me with a hand on my elbow. The scholarship is real, Harper. You earned it. your intelligence, your determination, your character. That's what we're investing in. Not your bank account, not your connections. You. I started sobbing for the third time that night, but these were tears of joy, of disbelief, of overwhelming relief. $8,000 for this semester, $40,000 for the whole year, 4 years of medical school, over $200,000 in total. All of it gone, not gone, solved, fixed, taken care of. Nathaniel addressed the crowd, his voice carrying across the silent ballroom. This young woman you all watched being tortured, this woman you filmed and laughed at, she maintains a 4.0 GPA while working 2 jobs. She volunteers at a free clinic every Sunday, helping people who can't afford doctors. She's everything this charity gala claims to support: hard work, dedication, giving back. And every single one of you stood there with your phones out, recording her humiliation like it was entertainment. Shame rippled through the crowd. I saw people lowering their phones, pocketing them, looking at the floor. Nathaniel turned back to Claire, Natalie, and Veronica. His expression was carved from ice. Ms. Hastings, your father's lease agreements will not be renewed. You have 60 days to vacate all Bennett properties. I'll be reaching out to Apex Industries this week. Claire collapsed to her knees, just like she'd forced me to do. Please, my father will lose everything. Our whole company will collapse. We'll be ruined. Then perhaps, Nathaniel said coldly, you should have thought about consequences before you destroyed someone for entertainment. Actions have prices, Ms. Hastings. Welcome to yours. He looked at security guards stationed around the room. Please escort these 3 women out, and make absolutely sure that every media outlet gets a copy of tonight's footage. I want this everywhere. No! All 3 women screamed at once. Security moved in, professional and efficient. Claire, Natalie, and Veronica tried to grab at Nathaniel's clothes, begging, sobbing. We're sorry, please! It was a mistake. We'll apologize. We'll do anything. Nathaniel looked down at them, then turned to me. Harper, do you accept their apologies? Every eye in the ballroom fixed on me. The 3 women who had destroyed me were on their knees now, crying the same desperate tears they'd caused me. Part of me, the kind part, the part my mother raised to be forgiving, wanted to say yes, wanted to give them a second chance. But I remembered their laughter, the way they'd poured champagne on me, bottle after bottle, the way they'd called me worthless, the way they'd scattered my tips and told me to crawl. No, I said quietly. I don't accept their apologies. Nathaniel nodded. Then please remove them. Security physically escorted all 3 women toward the exit. Their expensive designer gowns dragged on the floor. Their makeup ran in streaks down their faces. They were screaming, begging, making promises they'd never keep. The massive doors closed behind them with a final boom, cutting off their cries. Silence again. Then someone started clapping. Slow at first, then faster. Another person joined, then another. Soon the entire ballroom erupted in applause. 200 wealthy people standing and clapping. For me, for justice, for the belief that maybe, just maybe, cruelty doesn't always win. That was 3 months ago. My life now is completely different. I started medical school last month, and the scholarship really did cover everything. I quit both my jobs. For the first time since my father died, I can focus entirely on my studies. My grades are still perfect. 4.0 GPA after my first semester. Claire, Natalie, and Veronica? That video went viral. 12 million views across all platforms. They became internet famous for all the wrong reasons, symbols of wealthy cruelty and privilege. Claire's family did lose their business. They had to sell their mansion, their vacation homes, everything. She moved to another state to escape the attention. Natalie's father didn't get the Supreme Court appointment, and the family's political connections dried up overnight. Veronica's company's drug approval was delayed indefinitely, and their stock price crashed. I don't feel good about their suffering. I'm not that kind of person. But I don't feel bad about it either. They made choices. Choices have consequences. Nathaniel and I still talk. He checks in once a month, taking me for coffee to discuss my progress. It's mentorship, pure and simple. He told me once, "I grew up poor too, Harper. I know what it's like to be invisible, to be treated like your life doesn't matter. I built everything I have from nothing, and I'll never forget where I came from. Your success is my revenge against everyone who ever looked down on me." Last week, I was volunteering at the free clinic like I do every Sunday. A young girl came in with her mother. The girl was running a fever, and they didn't have insurance. The mother was working 3 jobs and still couldn't afford a regular doctor. I saw myself in them. I saw my mom and me 10 years ago. I held that little girl's hand while the doctor examined her. I told her everything would be okay. And when her mother tried to pay with a handful of crumpled bills and loose change, exactly $43, I told the billing department it was taken care of. Anonymous donation. The mother cried and hugged me. The little girl smiled for the first time since they'd arrived, and I knew, standing there in that moment, why I survived that night at the gala. Not for revenge against Claire and her friends, not even for the scholarship, as life-changing as it was. I survived it to be here, to help people who have no one else, to be the kind of doctor who sees patients as people, not bank accounts, to remember what it feels like to be on your knees with the world watching and not one person helping, so I never, ever let that happen to someone else on my watch. My name is Harper. I'm 22 years old, a first-year medical student, and a survivor. And if you're out there right now working multiple jobs, struggling to stay afloat, wondering if anyone sees you or if you matter, I see you. You matter. Your struggle matters. Your story matters. Keep going. Your moment is coming. I promise you, karma doesn't miss, and neither does kindness. If this story moved you, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been humiliated or treated like you were invisible? How did you survive? Drop your story in the comments below. Share this video with someone who's fighting their own battle right now and needs to know they're not alone. Hit that like button if you believe in justice. Subscribe to hear more real stories like mine. And remember, you are worthy, you are valuable, you are seen. No matter what anyone says, no matter what you're going through right now, you are enough. Thank you for listening to my story. This is Harper, reminding you that the waitress today might be the doctor saving your life tomorrow. Treat everyone with dignity. You never know whose life you're touching. See you in the next one.